A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Thanks to all our active patrons who have contributed a lifetime of $100 or more to reach Garuk Dong level status.
Here is the list of those special patrons in order of contributions.
If you would like to support our show, check out the Commander Smiths at patreon.com. Ooh, welcome to the Commander Smiths.
We are the Commander Smiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I'm Lowry Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
This is episode, what number are we? Okay, there we go.
322. I
Oh,
learned that on the front screen there. And that's probably the first time I've ever noticed it.
On the stream starting soon screen.
Right, it only took me 100 plus episodes at this point.
Yes,
YouTube.
This is episode 322. And again, we're going to do this new little format of getting into things right away. But Lowry, what do we have in store for this week's podcast, for this week's episode?
Yeah, so right off the bat, we're going to go over the 4 Precons, and we're going to do our budget upgrades along with Mr. Unlimited, which is kind of any budget, any amount of cards type thing.
Unlimited.
There you go.
One of our heroes, Russell, there.
Get the fuck out.
He's a good man, God-fearing.
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, God. I have to get you to that one.
And then we will go into the championship of
Out.
Sorry.
Out.
championship of our tournament, and that what was the tournament again? Win cons. Game winning cards.
You
There
win
we
the
go.
game. You win the game.
You win
cards.
the game
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
Totally knew that. But I'm sure I won, so I wasn't like worried about it or anything.
You might have. We'll see.
I don't know. Yeah, demolished. I'm sure.
Did you even look? Did you
and then
cheat
at the
and
end,
look
we
at
have
it?
Savant. We have Savant at the end there.
Yes.
Stump,
and-
the Smith Savant.
Mr. Copper the dog keeps getting in there. He's gotten like 3 in the last couple months, and right now, what did we decide?
That's because we're short sleeved right now. Not sleeved, slipped. Short slipped.
Short.
Not a lot of
something.
slips in there.
Yeah. So this is the opportunity, and right now we have 3 cards to give away. So we have the foil proxy. We have the foil surveil land, and then we decided after the cast last week, our number 1 card, the Fomori Vault in full art, is going to be also part of the giveaway. So that has been ordered. I don't have it yet, but it is.
I was gonna say,
on
did
its
you
way.
order it? Because those cards are kind of going up.
Yeah.
So like the good ones are.
Yeah. So I got that the day after we talked about it to make sure we got it. So that is on its way. So the next person that actually stumps Lowry, and Lowry, you're on week 8.
Yeah. Some people call it a tear. I
if
just
you-
say that's normal stuff.
If you win this week, I think
And,
this is a
next
record.
week, then we do.
Then we do a 4th one.
I'm at my tops at least right now, if not a record.
No, because remember we changed the way we did it, because originally it was 4 weeks, and
Well,
then
that's true.
it was 5,000 EDH rec decks, and then because the decks were going up so much, we changed it to 10,000. Because 5,000 was really anything can be in 5,000 EDH rec decks at this point. So I don't know. I'll have to look back, but it's either this week is your record if you win, or it would be next week is your record. Because I know when we were doing 4 at a time, you did get to the
probably got the 9
third
then.
one. Yeah. So I think you've hit 9 once before. So
Okay.
yes, you could definitely try to to stump Lowry. We just need to submit it. So remember, for that stuff, you guys got to email or shoot me on the Discord a little message there. So Mr. Captain Yates, that would be awesome there. All right, so we're gonna
Doctor Yates.
Doctor. Oh,
Right.
sorry.
Come on.
Well, it's a Captain Yates. He has Captain as his name there. So
Dr. Captain.
Dr. Captain. It's like a knockoff of Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper.
I was thinking Captain Morgan, but all right.
That's maybe what it is. It's
You go sober, go drunk.
Wait, you're the one that's drinking water.
But I'm thinking about drinking.
Thinking about drinking. Unlike last week where you weren't going to drink and then, as you guys noticed, the Malort meter has started over. We do not know what we are going to pick next, but we've learned from our mistakes that we won't pick a drink that is very difficult to make where you have to milk it. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, you should watch the video of us milking.
We didn't milk a coconut can. What are you doing?
Oh, I have such a smoker laugh right now because of my cold. It's like
we both have colds right now. It's great.
Dr. Captain. All right.
And not Dr. Renshaw is chiding us about not starting exactly at 9 o'clock. Our countdown starts at 9.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Dr. Renshaw.
And technically, it started at 8:59 today. I went before. Normally, I wait till it hits the zeros, like 9 o'clock, and then I go.
Do you do that just to make him mad? Them? There's a group of them.
There is. It's fun. Did you notice when I posted on the Discord today, I didn't actually put a time, and then he started bashing, and I was like, dude, I didn't put a time. It can start whenever we wanted to start.
I knew he couldn't read.
Whatever. I do what I want. All right, should we get to this? Let's just get to the beer and pizza.
Good.
So what am I doing here? I am going to card previews.
All right, let's get to the Precons. Are you starting? Am I starting?
Which
are we?
You're at the top of the list.
Yeah,
You're at the top of the list if you wanted to
do
that. All right. So what are we doing in the? Well, I guess since you're going to talk first, I'll kind of explain this. What we are doing here is we did do the Precons that came Outlaws of Thunder Junction Precons.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, and kind of did the Is It Worth It? Now we're going to do is our $20 budget upgrade. So we're taking a bunch of cards. We're not going to go. We'll give you the list of cards that we cut. But what we're going to do is just say these are the ones we cut, and then under $20 or around 20, because mine's right at 20 at one of them. Not over $20, $21. We're adding
like
cards
Adam likes to do.
But then we're adding budget cards in, and then at the end of that, we're going to show you some unlimited budget. If you had Mr. Unlimited budget, then we're going to add in some cards that you guys could pick up. We won't break down those as much, but we will break down the ones that we think could fit in here. So, Lowry, you are starting us off with the very first deck, which is Grand Larceny. So these are our budget upgrades. Why don't you talk about the commander and then kind of what you're thinking, I guess? What was the idea?
Yeah,
here?
so the commander is Gonti, Canny, Acquisitor, 2 on a black and a green and a blue, 5/5, Aetherborn Rogue, which is whatever. But spells you cast but don't own cost 1 less to cast. And then whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get to exile the top card of their library, and you can cast it at any time. And whatever mana, mana turns into whatever color you need it to be to cast that spell. And so for me, and where the deck is, the Precon seems pretty well put together. I'm not going to say that you got to change a whole ton. In general, like I am actually going to end up building this, and I'm not. I'm not going to use the Precon, but
so you're going to buy the commander by itself and then just build
right, and
I'll
buy the new cards, but like a lot of these cards aren't specable. They're not really expensive now that most of the good cards have been reprinted. And I already had them anyway. Oh, good for you.
Oh, dang it. I don't even think I have it. Oh, they do.
Oh, good.
And so, but to me, it is having evasive creatures to make sure that you can deal damage to all 3 of your players so that you can see 3 cards. And then being able to utilize those spells and having it cost 1 less. A lot of spells out there and in this deck already, like you're playing the spells for free, so that like the aspect of the cost reduction only applies almost to this Gonti.
Okay.
Not 100%, but there are a ton of cards. They're like exile something from the graveyard and cast it for free. Like there are a lot of cards that are doing that in this style of deck. And so that's kind of what I'm going for. And then I end up cutting 8 cards from the deck.
Do you want to just list those really quick so that people listening or watching, they could write them down and whatever? We aren't going to, you don't have to say why you cut them.
I know, but I was looking at the wrong list and going, those aren't the right cards. All right. So I would cut Void Attendant, Whirler Rogue, Actually, I do want to talk about that one, but at the end. Blade Griff prototype, the Mimeoplasm, Plasm Capture, Chaos Wand, and Prismatic Lens.
Okay.
All right. Back to Whirler Rogue. The reason why I think this kind of happens a lot.
Should I pull that one up so people can see what that one looks like?
Sure.
Okay,
I mean, you can, but it's just the concept that I want to talk about. Not saying it's a bad card at all, but what happens is when you have Whirler Rogue, so you're tapping 2 artifacts and it gives a creature unblockability. And what you end up doing is it's 2 ideas and you think that they are the same. And so Whirler Rogue is giving creatures like the evasion that you want, right?
Right.
But you have plenty of cards in this deck and to choose from that have evasion. And so either you need enough of those or enough of this.
Right. So I gotcha.
And so it really is a one or another thing. And really I can talk about like the same thing in a different way with the Desert Bloom deck as well. But right now it's basically you should be choosing between, do I want cards that give evasion or have cards that have evasion? And they're 2 different ideas. But you should almost kind of want to be able to focus in on one.
Yep, not on both.
Right.
Yep, that makes sense. Really quick, Scott makes a good point. If you guys are watching this right now, please give this a like. I forgot to start the poll at the beginning of this. So if you guys are watching, anybody watching, it would help if you guys give us a like there. So, okay, back to it. So Whirler Rogue, that makes total sense. You're getting rid of, you're focusing on one side of the evasion. The creatures seem like they have the evasion. Okay, so let's see what cards you added. So you added how many? You said 8 cards? 7 cards?
7 cards. 7 cards. So okay. 8 for the land one, 7 for this one.
Okay.
Okay, so Grazilax, Illithid, Scholar. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you can return it to your hand. That part isn't as necessary unless you want to go with ninjas, which very much can happen in this deck. To whereas you have evasive creatures, ninjutsu something in, and then you Grazilax and a couple other cards, and you can return those ninjas back to your hand and replay the evasion creatures. You can do that with this deck. But this is more of a representation of, I would go with evasive creatures and then creatures that have more like pile on top of how much combat damage you're doing. So you're drawing cards, you're exiling cards. What else can you do when you're dealing damage? That is, and across the board, that is probably more the way I would go. So this, with Grazilax and Gonti in play, you get to draw 3 cards and exile 3 cards. So you are getting 6 cards that you can cast after that.
That's pretty solid right there.
And that sounds really good, right?
Yeah.
Next one is Keru Mind Eater. Super cheap, 3 mana. It has menace, and whenever it deals damage to a player, that player exiles a card from his or her hand face down. You may look at it
and play cards exiled with it, so you can take the card.
And so it's kind of doing a little bit of what Gonti's already doing, but it's not in the deck. I thought it'd be a cool add, and it's an older card at this point. It is a vampire as well.
Yeah, I like that. All right.
Next one I want to talk about is Mana Maze. 2 mana blue.
I don't even recognize that one. I do not have
but
this.
There's a deep cut here.
Both
but
of these
players can't
I don't
play
have.
Spells that share a color with the spell last played this turn.
Oh.
Essentially, you're a green, black, blue deck, and then other colors as well. And you'll really slow down the 1 and 2 color decks.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to choose a lot more cards. Like I said, you have your hand. If you're drawing more cards, great, but you're always exiling, and you will likely be exiling cards of different colors.
So my question is, do you know how many are like multicolors? Because I'm sure you cast one that has 2 colors in your hand, and you can't cast either one of those. Do you know?
That's true.
Do you happen to know if? I think this is good. I like that idea a lot. I've never seen this card, so this is like, this one's new to me. Both of these cards, here.
Right?
So I like that. That's a good way to hit.
And so that I thought it'd be a nice slowdown, and you're gonna have the least amount of slowdown from the Mana Maze.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be really cool.
I dig that.
Next one is,
look at you pulling your like curated MTG knowledge out. You're like, here, I'm gonna throw a little curated in here. How about that?
Well, okay, so like the other thing that you can do with this deck a little bit is it's not here and actually in neither one of them. You remember that green card, gem? It's a 2 green colorless enchantment. It's just hit me right now. But basically, during each upkeep, that player gets to say what color and all mana that's produced that turn is that color. We used to play it a while back before the cast. Do you know what I mean? He's like Mirage. He's in green. Shoot.
Isn't it on the reserve list too?
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about.
But basically, Gonti allows you to cast anything with any color mana. It doesn't matter. So like a Soul Ring's 2 mana can be whatever colors you need them to be. And so if you're blocking out colors, it doesn't matter for you. So that's another one you can go with. Not on here, but I thought it, cool off the top. Metamorphose. That's an instant blue. Put target permanent an opponent controls on top of their owner's library. That opponent may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, land card from his or her hand into play. So that's the fun, quirky card, but it's more of an idea as well of trying to set your opponent's top of their deck.
Because then
and so you have a removal, like let's say they attack, you cast Aether Spouts, they have to either put it on top or the bottom of their deck. So cards like that, and it sets it up that it is removal and you get it. So like you can cast this right before you attack, and then you get that card.
I dig it.
So
I like that one. All right, so we got 3 more here. All right,
3 more. Nature's Will enchantment. I love this card, but whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, tap all lands that player controls and untap all the lands you control. And so you can stack this 3 times if you're able to hit 3 players, which is kind of what you're going for with Gonti anyway. If you're able to use that mana during the attack step, that's the huge part. Flash, instance, activated abilities. It's basically free mana for you.
I would also say that if you have this out, you almost aren't casting any of your spells until your second main phase because you hit them, tap them out, so then they can't counter or have interaction with your stuff too. So that's also another play, I think, with that. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And this is cheap. This is like $1 now after the reprints from Eldraine.
And I love this art.
It was
everything.
a $20 card from Kamigawa, but it's basically a super cheap, maybe worse version, but also if you can utilize that mana of 3 times, it's sort of yada yada. That's great. The green and black one.
Feast and Famine?
Feast and Famine, yeah. Because it's untapping the land. This can be a cheap version of that.
I like it, yeah. And then
next
Rogue class here. I like this one.
Yeah. Rogue class is from D&D, blue and black. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, exile a top card. You can look at it any time. And then you go to the next class. Creatures you control have menace.
There's
that
your
part
evasion.
Doesn't really matter.
Well, it gives you evasion though.
Yeah, I mean, that is, I think,
secondary.
That other version. It's like how many instances
right, because you're saying
evasion.
Your creatures already have it, so you're not really focused on that as much.
Right. So that part doesn't necessarily matter in my mind. And then the last bit is you can cast cards that you've exiled with Rogue class. So it's just basically a backup / second trigger of Gonti in the deck. And so I like it. And then the last one is going to be Tasha, the Witch Queen, 5 mana, Planeswalker, and essentially it's all there for whenever you cast a spell that you don't control, create a 3/3 black. Is that a demon? So creating tokens whenever you cast.
Interesting, the demon isn't flying, but yeah, 3/3 black demon.
And so this isn't a well-developed like niche deck. Like it's really black and blue. I don't really know why green is there other than Villainous Wealth and Ramp. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. But those are the 7 that I would add. And that total comes out to $13.13.
Whoa, you have $7 more you can spend if you wanted to. Get those lands.
Yeah,
Change out those lands.
I couldn't find enough cards to really cut with to make me feel like.
Well, no, I was gonna say that would be an interesting thing. Like if you have a budget of the 20 and you come in at 13, is there a land around that $7 mark that you could flip in and out? Maybe a surveil land.
Well,
or
let's
something.
go look at Mr. Unlimited.
All right.
Mr. Unlimited.
Way to get there. All right. So, all right. You got 18 cards here. Now, you don't need to go
We won't talk about them
Yeah,
all, but the big ones that really turned me into what I wanted to play was Doubtthigh Voidwalker, being able to exile creatures and be able to cast one or two of them from that deck.
You also got Cryptic Coat here.
Yeah, Cryptic Coat gives a creature unblock ability, and then you can kind of redo it and cast or flip over some of those whatever it is. They got 5 different morphs now, but Grim Hireling, getting you treasure tokens for dealing that damage, help you with the mana. Invisible Stalker is a good, like, protected, unblockable creature for 2 mana. K9 Mark
K9
1
again. You put these
I
in
love
multiple.
it.
I know you do.
I love it. But the reason why it's good here too is like it works on theme because target legendary creature can't be blocked this turn. You can activate that ability,
Right.
along with giving legends ward 1 if it's untapped. Mercurial Spell Dancer has unblockable, and then if there's like 3 oil counters, you can copy a spell the next time.
Sorry, I scrolled
Down below, this one got crazy. This just went up to $8-9, but Mnemonic Betrayal, exile a graveyard, and then you can cast spells from that.
No, it's all opponents' graveyards.
Was it all? Yeah,
Exile all cards
it's gonna do
from
good
all
stuff.
opponents' graveyards. You may cast those cards this turn and spend as many mana as you want or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Nautiloid Ship, which is a vehicle. ETBs, exile target player's graveyard. Whenever it deals damage, you get to like play a card for free.
You're gonna do these two. My window, I just realized, is open and it's making noise. I'm going over there really quick.
Hey, another reason I have never played with Opposition Agent, but it's perfect for this deck. Whenever your opponent searches their library, you get to basically cast that card that they search for.
There you go.
That's I mean, it's a fantastic card beforehand, but this is great. Praetor's Grasp, you're searching through an opponent's library and casting a card from it. You do have to use mana for that, so that'll be a fun one. I haven't used that in a long time.
Oh, there's one of the lands right there that you popped in.
Right? But Rona, Herald of Invasion, this, I have loved this card since it came out. I highly, highly like it. But basically it's whenever a legendary spell, whenever you cast one, untap it and it draws and discards for the activated ability, then you can pay 5 and a Phyrexian black to flip it. And that's the part that comes into play here, why it's really on. But whenever a source deals damage to it, you can basically cast a spell from the controlling source's hand. And so it's still casting other people's stuff.
Yeah,
You have
gotcha.
so Shizo,
Really
Storehouse,
quick,
which
I
is a
gotta
land.
take a little pause and just give a tip of the cap to Tad and Rob
Not
there.
even Tad.
RoboCop.
He's
I
mad
said.
at me that I haven't sent his proxies out.
I was actually supposed to check.
Sorry.
His might be foil proxy. So you might. Did you send him already?
No, that's me.
Is it you? Okay. All right. All right.
Shizo, Death Storehouse, giving one of your legendary creatures fear. It's a land. It is fantastic, but that is like a $20-ish card.
Yeah, something like that. I can't see. pricing
Spell
right
Sky
now.
for protection. That
What? You like Spell Skite? No way. You're in a blue deck and Spell Skite's in there.
but Thada Adele, you're casting artifacts from your opponent's
Adele?
Deck. Thada Adele?
No,
Hello?
you're right. Yeah, thank you. That's I was gonna get.
Thassa, giving unblockability
Unblockable?
to a creature for 2. Also the Scry. The Black Gate is probably what you would probably add in there for the land. I think that's around $6-8 right there. What do you see?
Yeah, if you, I can't see pricing because I have it maximized, so I can't see
All right.
pricing.
It's
but
right
you're
in that
probably right.
range.
I think you're right.
But-
yeah.
But given some evasion on the land right there. We can move through. Toski, drawing cards for dealing damage, Whisper Silk Cloak, Shroud,
Unblockability.
and unblockability.
I
That
think
might
that's
be
it. That's it.
There we go. Not
There
too
you go.
bad.
All right. Well, yeah. So if you guys have any suggestions for some unlimited ones or even budget ones, make sure you guys leave that in the comments below. All right. So is there anything else you want to add to that deck? How do you feel that deck would do? You're going to be building this deck. So that is.
I'm going to be building this. not this week. I'm doing Riku of Many Paths on Thursday.
Okay.
Building that on stream. Gonti it'll just depend on what I see tomorrow.
Okay.
At my store, and if I'm not, I'm gonna have to order it.
Sweet. All right. So that is Gonti. We'll get to the next one. That'll be mine, I suppose.
That'll be yours.
Yeah, we'll just
Quick
do
draw.
the first.
Is that the red blue one?
Yes. So this is actually not the order I was having it. Let's do the other one. Get my pages right. All right. So quick draw. Let's get down to quick draw here. So again, budget of $20 here. And where we go? Okay. So quick draw here. Look at this. I did not go with the commander of this one because I didn't like what it was doing. This one felt like it could be better. A lot more things happening. I think the deck would be a lot more fun with this one. So I went with the secondary commander on this. This is the first time we've kind of really done that. I almost did it with both my decks. The only thing is on the other one, if I did that, there's too many cards to change. This one doesn't change anything with the deck. With what the commander was. The
You
other
just
one,
wanted more dragons.
right, but they get prowess and everything like that, So I mean, the other one was copying spell. Like how many times do we see that with commanders, where it's like, oh, copying the spell, multiply. You cast your second spell. It does. It wasn't anything like different. This is different. It's a little tougher to get out. You got to be casting spells early. A lot of 1-drops, 2-drops, different kinds of spells. So there's a little bit more planning involved, and then once you get it out. Now you're casting spells. You change it more towards instant stuff because you want to cast spells on other people's turn because it only takes effect of the second spell. Well, for those of you listening and not watching, here's what the card does. It's 8 and a red and a blue. So that's a lot. It's an elemental warlock 4/4 flying prowess, but it costs 2 less to cast for each different mana value among instant and sorcery spells in your graveyard. So you start stacking your graveyard up, you can get this sucker down, and then late game, even when this thing gets killed, you can't reduce the commander tax, but you can make it so that at that point it's only costing you 2 and then the commander tax. So
that's true.
But then whenever you cast your second spell each turn, not just your turn, you get a 4/4 dragon elemental creature token with flying and also prowess. So prowess, if people don't know that, they should know that, but it's every time you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets 1+0 until it.
Prowess is non-creature spell.
Oh, sorry. Yep, non-creature. That's what I meant. I guess it can fit with other stuff. I'm focused
on artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers.
But in this, I'm focused on the instants and sorcery.
For sure.
That's what I'm doing here. Okay, so in this, get this. I'm cutting 16 cards, all right? And this is not the one that I went over 20. This one, I'm under 20 on this one. So, okay. Get ready. You got to get the button ready. Was there anything else? More instance?
What button am I pressing? Here, how about this one?
Hello, boobies.
No, it's going to be me reading, obviously. I'm going to read all this stuff.
I believe in you.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. The thing the deck lacked was I needed more cast trigger abilities, so you're going to get that in my stuff that I added in. More draw, and then more instants, because there's a lot of sorceries in this, but this take advantage of casting your second spell on other people's turns. Even the other commander is similar to that in that you can take advantage of its abilities on other people's turns. So I don't get why they went heavier on, not heavier, but there's a lot of sorceries in this. I'm like, well, let's get rid of those and let's replace it with instants. So here's the cards I got rid of. Petromander, I got rid of Activia.
Okay. All right.
He can't even read.
Okay. I was going to preemptive strike, but
Octavia Living, Leyline Browser, Propaganda. I got rid of Propaganda because in this, I'm feeling like you're going to have enough blockers and stuff that Propaganda you aren't going to have to deal with all that and removal. Galvanac.
This hurts me more than you.
Galvanic iteration, I think. Radical idea. Right. Think twice. Treasure Cruise. Brawls. Expertise. Tezzeret's Gambit. Deep analysis. I got rid of both finales because I think they're garbage. And then 3 land because this was at like 38 land. Not garbage, just they're sorcery speed. I don't want to use those. So I got rid of a lot of sorcery speed. Let's get to the things that I added. 16 cards here. So you talked about this a little bit earlier. So
I dig it.
one was Aether Spouts. So for each, instant speed, as you can see, it's at 5 casting cost. But for each attacking creature, its owner puts it on the top or the bottom. So Larry just mentioned this in the last deck. But I think this one's a great. Instead of having the propaganda thing, that's a, it's an enchantment.
Actually, cast a spell.
Right. You get the spell, cast the spell. It goes to your graveyard. You're reducing your cost of your commander, so it's helping in that aspect, and with other things in the deck. There is a lot of things in the deck that is. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell, they either generate Meat Force, a bunch of tokens, 1/1 creatures. There's a lot of that already in this. So I added to that. So then we also have Balmor, Battle Mage Captain. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control, all your creatures, so they all gain 1+0 and trample. So this is really good when you're starting to cast multiples and everything of yours has prowess. And this, like, it's a double prowess with trample. It's just, it's killer in this deck and super cheap. All this is super cheap. Brainstorm, they didn't have in this. So, yeah, gonna put that.
This deck had the, Viren, right? That doubles instant, or Magecraft doubles instant and sorcery.
Yep.
Like triggers.
Yep.
Oh, man, that card's bonkers.
So the other thing is I did keep the commander in here because the commander does work really well with this deck, so that's a doubling effect as well. Disrupt Decorum, which this is a great card. It's just a good card. I love Disrupt Decorum. This was a late
sorcery though.
It is a sorcery, but you're making it. You're getting rid of basically the propaganda effect in a kind of. You're opening them up. Sure. No one's attacking you. You're getting everybody to attack each other. It's just a great card in general. We've always liked that card in general.
Yep.
Docent Perfection. This one is one of those whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you create a 1/1 blue human wizard, and then it flips over and it will do the same thing except your wizards gain 2+1. Actually, is the commander?
Is this a wizard?
It is not a wizard, but it was more for the token. I know.
You're not a wizard, Adam.
But I believe wizard is a very high creature count in this one because there were other things that were in the deck that based itself on wizard. I had to double check on that again. But that's not the point of it. Really, it was generating these tokens and then, all that. Exalted is your most expensive card in here. Exalted Flamer of Tiznich. Something like that from the Warhammer.
She can't even read.
Although I can't check you on that. I don't know how to say it either.
I can tell you firsthand on a Spellslinger deck, this is a very fun card.
It's ridiculous. I love this card.
Really good card.
When proxy?
Yeah. Actually, it is on my list to do. It's actually in the book.
All right.
But for people that don't know it is from Warhammer, so I'm going to read this one fully. It's 2 colorless, a blue and a red for a 2/4 demon. That doesn't matter. But at the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Now that kind of hinders what your commander's doing, but you're getting to replay a lot of this stuff, which you want to be able to do. The other part is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So you're getting recursion built in and surround damage. And that's what this deck is doing. You're doing a lot of damage all the time, which again, I added Firebrand Archer, does the same thing. Non-creature spells deal 1 damage to each opponent. Frantic Search, instant spell, getting you to draw cards, untap lands, and it's a 3-drop. We got a lot of 1s and 2-drops in this deck, instants and everything. So I want to mix in some other CMCs.
I don't. Never mind.
Okay. Imposing Grandeur. This is for 5. Each player may discard their hand and draw cards equal to the greatest mana value of their commander they own on the battlefield or command zone. You know how many that is for you? That's 10 cards because your commander costs 10. So
I want to read that one again. What was it?
Okay, so it's an instant.
I don't know that one.
Each player may discard their hand and draw cards equal to the greatest mana value of a commander they own on the battlefield or in the command zone. So
that's good.
You're drawing 10. That's what it is for 5. That's a solid exchange there, and it's cheap.
Yeah, there's definitely some card. Like I don't know. All right, writing that one down because I'm You can go and find these lists on our Moxfield page
Yes,
under the
that's a good
budget
point.
upgrades. I'm not going to go there again, but I'm just going to write this down.
Then I got Jory and Rune Diver. This is whenever you cast your second spell each turn. That's the key. If it only said your turn, I would not like it, but it's each turn you can draw a card. So you just got to cast 2 spells on your turn, their turn, whatever, you're drawing cards. Then we got, this is from the new set. So it's Crom Violent Cacophony. So it's 2, a blue, and a red. Zombie Horror 2/3 flying. Whenever you cast your second spell, it's kind of like the last one, each turn, put a 1/1 counter on it and draw a card. So there's 2 cards doing very similar things. We got some more removal, rapid hybridization. So destroy target creature. It's an instant speed. They get a lizard. Same thing with reality shift. Exile target creature. Manifest the top of their library. Instant speed. 2-drop removal. And then, oh no, I got a couple more. That's what happens when you have 16.
Yeah, 16. Yeah.
The Thrill of Possibility. Another instant speed. You discard. Is it discard? Yeah, discard a card. Draw 2 cards. 2-drop. Unexpected Windfall. Love this card, and we already have the counterpart of it that does the same thing in the deck, but it's you discard a card, draw 2 cards, get 2 treasures, so you're getting some mono wrap onto it as well. And then Wave Break. Okay, yeah, there's my last one. Wave Break Hippocamp, and that is whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. So you don't get to draw on your turn, but you're casting instant spells on other people's turn. You're trying to draw cards. You're going to draw probably 2 out of the 3 turns off of this card. So, and it is a enchantment as well. So I guess would the prowess work? Because it is a creature, so I don't think it would work. It's an enchantment creature. Because it's
It's a creature.
Oh, it's
Yeah, non-creature spells.
So because creature's in there, it will not work. But that's not the point of it. It's your spell slinging. So that's the 16 cards. And that 16 cards gets you to a total of $16.30. So
not bad.
Yeah. Because the expensive card in here is that one from the Warhammer. This is like a $7 card.
What one was that called again?
Exalted Flamer.
Acceptable at this point.
All right, now
Mr.
let's get to the
Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited. I don't have a ton in this one. I do have some. But I wanted to add in some other things. But we got Burgie in this as well because you're casting spells.
For sure.
Love this.
Is that over 10 now?
Yeah.
That's expensive.
It was like $7-8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Bothersome. This was almost in the deck, but it got me at 22, so I couldn't get it in there. But Bothersome Quasit.
I don't know if that's right. I say Quasit.
Okay. Quasitmodo. So this one has whenever you cast a non-creature spell, go target creature an opponent controls. Go to creatures your opponents control, can't block. So I think this one's a really good add in there. So if you can squeeze it in, I would definitely try to get that in there. I like putting this in decks that you're doing spell slinger stuff. So that one's a good one. You can do Cyclonic Rift. I wouldn't, but it's there. It's a spell, and you can sling it. Deflecting Swat, I do use a lot. That's fantastic there. Sure. Jessica's Will, very good card there. Leisure Shredder.
All right.
So you're going to be, whenever a player casts their second spell, it just connives, so it helps you a little bit with other people's stuff. And then Urabrask. Also, whenever you cast instant sorcery spells, it deals 1 damage to target opponent, and you're adding 1 red mana to it. And this isn't those. None of these are crazy expensive except for maybe Deflecting Swat and Cyclonic. It goes when they reprinted, it drops, and then it gets back up to 20 or whatever. So those are really, and I guess Jessica's is a little bit.
But I totally agree that Urabrask and Burgie, they go great in decks that you want to be casting multiple spells on a turn. Like in Feather, they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just like the Stormkiln Artist, where it's creating the treasure with the Magecraft.
Yep, and that's already in the deck, so that's why
I was assuming that. Is Torbrand in there as well?
Oh, that's a good ad. No, Torbrand.
Okay, that's the one I didn't want to like steal your thunder because it wasn't that far. But whenever I have like Flamer or the Archer where it's dealing 1 damage, it always makes me like can Torbrand get in here? Twirl evil mustache thing? Like,
I don't know. I'll have to double check it. I don't think Torbrand's in here because we have all the other snipers in there. You got Gutter Snipe and Electro.
it might be worth trying to fit in there too.
That would be a good add because Torbrand's in my Spellslinger deck along with all the other ones that are in there. So that is a very good add. But like you're saying, out of these unlimited Mr. Unlimited ones, Burgee and Urabrasker would be the first two I'd get. And then personally, I would get Deflecting SWAT and the bothersome, dude that starts with a Q.
Closet.
All right. So, if there's any others besides the Torbrand ad that you guys have, make sure you guys put that in the comments below. Now we're going to move on to Lowry's deck. Let's get over there. We are at Desert Bloom.
Desert Bloom.
Again, you guys can find all of these decks if you guys follow us on Moxfield, which is easy because we are the Commander Smiths. You just follow us there. You can check we have it under a separate folder, so it's the Precon upgrades, and we have all the Precon upgrades that we've done on there, and so you can see all the ones that we add in there. And again, the ones that are the budget ones are going to be all under $20, and then the other ones are unlimited. So, and make sure you give this a like. Sorry, I'm hitting the like button again. Go ahead, Larry. Desert Bloom. What are we doing here? What's this
Desert Bloom upgrades? We have Yuma. You gotta get to it.
Yeah, I was like, what does this one do?
Proud Protector. This is 5 colorless, red, green, white. It's a 6/6.
That card I just suggested should go in this deck.
What?
The one that you draw cards for your commander's CMC. Look at that.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. I was thinking that one would really go well in the Balrog Durin's Bane as well. That's at 8.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But again, I don't. I just took that apart. But okay, so Yuma costs 1 less for each land card in your graveyard, and whenever Yuma enters the battlefield or attacks, you can sacrifice a land, and if you do, you draw a card. And then, so kind of think of it this way: the commander tax goes away if it ETBs and you attack. That's 2 lands in your graveyard. Commander tax the next time it has been accounted for in that regard. And then whenever a desert card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 4/2 green plant warrior creature token with reach. So what a lot of the deck has a bit of random mill in it. It likes lands in your graveyard for sure. I'm assuming it has like all the deserts possible in the land base. I didn't even look. So if there isn't one, add it in because there's only so many deserts total. I don't even know if they've errated desert to be a desert, but I hope so.
Yeah. It does not qualify as being a desert.
That's sad. But and also definitely if you have fetches, run them.
Oh yeah.
They're not obviously going to be in the Precon, and that can be in the Mr. Unlimited. I didn't put it there, but fetches, all.
And
good with it.
I guess the side note to all this is lands in general are things that we aren't going to change in these decks. Those are the easiest thing to change in the decks to make them run smoothly. So if we start adding lands and Mr. Unlimited does not, or budget does not exist because lands would get way too damn expensive. 1 fetch land gets us over the limit there. So okay.
Yeah.
So you got 8 cards. Oh, go ahead.
So cut 8 cards. Cutting Eccentric Farmer, Angel of the Ruins, Thrilling Discovery, Decimate, Descend Upon the Sinful, Marshal's Anthem, The Mending of Dominaria, and World Shaper. Actually, this is the one that I kind of want to talk about with the Mending of Dominaria and World Shaper. Both those cards bring all the lands back from your graveyard into play in some way or another. And it's not a bad thing to do. It's a little weird in this deck because you want them in your graveyard.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me personally, I don't want the all lands from the graveyard come into play. I would much more prefer
like Crucible Worlds or Rumming Up Excavator.
One at a time, maybe doing more, but more just getting ramp off that way and being able to still have those lands go into the graveyard and still be there. But that same idea of one or the other, they don't necessarily go together, even though they're doing the same thing of playing lands from the graveyard. One is bringing everything back because you're kind of a mill deck and you'll have probably a lot of land in there, or one is incremental value that you're kind of you're gonna be able to get ahead of, but you're still playing to the strengths of having Yuma being roughly 3 mana, no matter what part in the deck. If you're sacrificing a land, that's okay because you can easily get it back. But the thing with all of them, like if you have multiple cards in your library or your deck that bring all the lands back, once you do it once, the others are kind of dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't want a lot of them, but if you don't draw them, the deck is kind of bad too. Right. So but that's something that you want to go back and forth with. If you have Crucible and Exploration, that is in my Mr. Unlimited section, and then you draw the Mending of Dominaria, World Shaper, they're not as good either. So like they kind of eat away at each other and they kind of kill each other. They are the same thing, but shouldn't be in the same decks.
Gotcha.
All right. Moving on to the ads. A card that brings all the lands back. Aftermath Analysis. All right, 1 in a green, 1/3. When it ETBs, you're going to mill 3 cards. But this is the big thing. You get to control if you want the lands coming back. And so you can pay 4 mana, sack it, all the lands from your graveyard come into play tapped. And that's why I would choose that over World Shaper or Dominaria, because you can choose. And if it dies, that's fine because you already got what you want, which is a cheap mill and a cheap blocker. And if you can block, have it be dying and sacrifice it, great. Augur of Autumn is a fantastic ad for any mill deck, like self mill, where it's in there. 1 and 2 green, it's a 2/3. You can always look at the top card of your deck and you can play lands from it. And then if you have creatures with 3 different powers, you can cast creatures off the top of your deck too. But this is kind of there for the land. All of that works together. You're going to be able to play more land or know if you want to mill a card or not. It's a really, really good card to get ahead of. So Azusa's Lost But Seeking is allowing you to play more lands during one turn. So 2 additional lands. So with Augur of Autumn, you can do 2 or 3 off the top of your deck, or Conduit of Worlds, which is the next one. You can play lands from your graveyard. That allows you to just juggle them from your graveyard into play, and if they're fetches, or a desert and you want to be able to sacrifice them for ability, plus it just allows you to do much more.
That little built-in recursion on it.
With Conduit of Worlds, Conduit is a great card, because if you don't have anything that you really want to do that turn, you can tap it and cast something from your graveyard, and you have enough random mill in this deck that you're going to mill something that you want back anyway, for permanent wise. So I've been really liking Conduit of Worlds right now. One that I would have suggested for your last deck as well, Faithless Looting.
It's already in the deck.
Is it? Oh, it is.
Yeah.
There's Careful Study as well. But draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, has flashback. Cards invaluable in red almost all the time. Nissa Vital Force is a planeswalker I would add in, because it's -1 is returning a permanent from the yard to your hand. But the big thing is if you can +1 it, next turn you can -6 it for its ultimate, and that's whenever a land ETBs for you, you get to draw a card, which is crazy good in this kind of deck. And that goes for either version of bringing all the cards back from or all the lands from the yard into play, or if you have a Crucible of Worlds thing going on. Either way, fantastic card. Tiller Engine, cool card. Cheapest version that I guess it's not really the cheapest version, but 2 mana 1/3. Whenever a land ETB's tapped, you can either untap that land or tap target non-land permanent an opponent controls. A lot of your deserts.
So interesting little like Amulet of Vigor kind of type thing going on there.
Yeah.
Except better.
I don't know if it's better, but
because
cheap.
Because Amulet of Vigor, it's only the untap, and this one gives you a little choice on it. I like that.
That's true.
I like that you got an
And so,
old
but a lot of
school
your
card
deserts
here,
come
too.
into play tapped. Might as well get a little bit of bonus out of that. Zern Orb is allowing you. This is much better for the bring everything back plan.
Right.
All the
'cause
lands from your yard into
sack
play, but
everything, gain your life, bring them all back. Yeah.
bring it all back. So yeah, that's better for the bring everything back.
We're into Mr.
And
Unlimited.
those are the 8.
All right.
There.
What is your total amount there for your 8 cards?
That one's a bit more, $19.25.
You're getting close there.
I was getting close. I actually had Life from the Loam in there, and I had to take it out and put it.
What? That's your
Faithless.
baby.
I know, but because we'll talk about it. But
All right.
Mr. Unlimited,
Or you mean Mr. Universe?
Mr. Unlimited.
Did I put Mr. Universe?
No, you didn't. That was the last time.
Mr. Worldwide.
Oh, that's right. Mr. Worldwide.
But you have Random Mill. Anger's a great card in there with the Unlimited. Burgeoning allows you to get more lands from your hand into play.
Oh,
Constant
Look
Miss
at you with your
allows-
constant miss. You are a dog doing constant miss.
What
What are you doing, constant miss?
Yeah, it's a fog that you can sacrifice a land, maybe a desert, to get a 4/2, and then do it again, bring it back.
Yeah, you don't like when
but-
I play that card.
I don't like it when you play it. Yeah, I agree.
That's a good ad. I like that one.
You got Crucible Worlds, bringing lands from
Talked about
graveyard
that.
into
Yeah,
play.
like that.
Um,
Ooh, yeah, these
Dryad
are two
of
good
the
ones.
Elysian Grove, more lands per turn. Esper Sentinel,
Yeah, just white. We're playing
Duh.
there. Exploration. Nice.
Exploration, more lands per turn. Gaia Reach Sanitarium is,
One of your
if you
babies.
are milling, this is very similar to that idea of milling, but you're choosing what goes into, you draw a discard, you're
Yep.
looting, which
Yep.
is great. Horn of Greed, whenever any player plays land, they get to draw a card. And so it
You're
does
gonna be
help
playing
everybody.
But you're going to be playing more land, so yeah.
More
yeah.
likely you're playing more land, so that's fine. And then Life from the Loam, Dredging is milling, and that's what this deck is doing. You want to fill up, it kind of goes back and forth. So Sarah Paragon is kind of like a conduit of ruin, being able to play spells or land from the graveyard. This is just once per turn.
Spelunking.
It's another version of the Tiller or Amulet, like just lands coming into play untapped.
Mm-hmm.
So in Library, Tireless Provisioner for the treasures, and then Ren and 7 is a fantastic card, by the way. Anything that's running a ton of land, this deck's running 40 land, I would say do that. Like, I wouldn't lower it, the amount. But the +1 on it is reveal a top 4 cards and put all the lands in your hand and the rest in the yard. And then you can 0 it and put all the lands from your hand into play. The -3 is creating a tree folk that has power toughness of how many lands that you have in play. And I don't even know the -8. Like,
Return all permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. You get an emblem. You have no maximum hand size.
yeah, this one's probably one of my favorite planeswalkers that exists. It's so good.
Yeah. You
So-
love land. Yeah, I like it.
I love land.
You love land. So, okay.
So, yeah.
So that is the total upgrades for the deck. If there's any other ones, maybe for the Mr. Unlimited or maybe some budget ones, you guys have, make sure you guys put that in the comments as well.
Right.
For this
What's
deck.
your favorite landfall card? Because you can add that into this for sure.
Right. There's so many
So-
landfall stuff.
so many
Landfalls
landfall
it's your favorite mechanic, but you didn't draft it
is.
first when we
It
did
is.
that. All right, we get into the last deck, and that one would be mine, and that one is Most Wanted. That's right. All right, so the Most Wanted Precon. This is, I was so tempted to change this one. This was the first one I worked on. The problem with it is if I changed it to the secondary commander, which deals with the treasure tokens turning over into 3/3 mercenaries, is the rest of the deck doesn't fit well with it. So I didn't go that route. After kind of tooling around with this deck a little bit, figuring out my upgrades and all that, I actually, this commander grows on me a little bit more. Let me read it really quick for people listening. It's 1 colorless, red, white, and black flying lifelink vampire assassin. It is a 3/3. Whenever 1 or more outlaws you control deal damage to a player, create a treasure token. Outlaws are assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks. And then you can tap 3, sacrifice 2 treasures, Put 2 1/1 counters on each of creature you control. They don't have to be outlaws at that point. It just each creature you control, and you can only activate as a sorcery. So it's like, oh man, you're tapping 3, you're getting rid of treasure. I was like, that just seems kind of bad. But everything in this deck is outlaws. So if you're pumping all those up and they're getting bonus triggers off of it, this one can actually get kind of crazy. What did I say? It is lacking treasure generation. If you could generate the treasures without having the creatures do the damage and give you treasures, that would be a way to do this, and that's actually what I did a little bit. Lacking game winners, and then also lacking sack benefits. So when you're getting rid of treasures or sacrificing those or whatever, you're not getting there aren't any beneficial cards. Like, whenever an artifact leaves play, whatever, do 1 damage and stuff. So I think this deck is missing a couple of those things. I think I added those in. I cut 13 cards in this deck.
You were aggressively cutting this time.
This is the one I went a little over budget, just a little bit.
I knew it.
All right, so here's the cuts. Shoot the Sheriff, Council's Judgment, Painful Truths, Curtain Call, Hex, Trailblazer Boots, because it focuses on one thing, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Back in Town, Org. No, is it Org? Remember when I did that before? It's Agre, Slumlord.
Agre? That's the
rat one.
French version.
Yeah, Agre. Captivating Crew. Even though some of these are just like, hey, they are outlaws, so we're throwing them in there. I don't like Captivating Crew in this. Feed the Swarm, Mass Mutiny, and then I cut 2 land because there is a lot of treasure in this deck. As for the ads, let's get to those 13 cards. So again, as you can see, I think I had the counterpart in the other deck. This one didn't have this one, so Big Score is in there. So it's the 3 red or 3 colors and a red. You get to discard, and then you draw 2 cards, get 2 treasures. There's adding some more treasure in there. Bottle Cap Blast. So this is from the Fallout set. It has Improvise, so you can tap those treasures, which means you can sack those treasures, the ones that you tap, to utilize Olivia's ability. So you can tap them to do this part. But it has Improvise, and then it deals 5 damage to any target. If excess damage was dealt to a permanent this way, create that many tapped treasure tokens. So you could just wipe out something for 1, give yourself 4 treasure tokens if you wanted. You could potentially just cast this for 1 if you have enough artifact stuff out there. So I think this was a good removal because I did get rid of Hex, Curtain Call, Painful Truths were all removals, I believe. I don't remember what Painful Truths, because that is a newer card, I think, if I remember right.
No, that one is...
Which one is Painful Truths?
It's
I cut
3
one of the
3 different colors to draw 3 cards and lose 3 life.
Oh, that's right. Then it was Curtain's Call, I think was from the new set, I believe, or might have been from the Commander. There was a couple new ones I cut.
I don't recognize that one.
Generous Plunderer. I like this one a lot in this. So this is also a new card. It is also a rogue. So it's
Is
one.
this-
It's off the.
I don't know if that's in your budget anymore.
It might have gone up. It was when I did this, but so this
Check
is
that out.
1 colorless, 1 red, human rogue, menace, 2/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may create a treasure token. If you do, target opponent creates a tap treasure token. Yours is not tapped, theirs is. When it attacks, it deals damage to defending player equal to the number of artifacts they control. This was in when we were doing our top 10. This was on my list of cards that I really liked. That we never got it in the top 10, but I liked this one a lot because of everybody playing treasures and stuff like that. So I think this one's perfect because it's also a rogue. So
Our top 10 could have just been big scorecards.
right,
Let's be honest. I was trying to avoid that part.
That is completely true. Then one of our
It's like $5 now.
okay, so that's about where it was. It was
Yeah.
This might be why I get over there because then we also have one of our other top 10 cards or a top 10 card. Great Train Heist for 1 red, and then has the untap all your creatures. They get an additional attack phase, so that helps. Your creatures get 1/0 in first strike, and then when your creatures deal combat damage, you get treasure tokens. So it's adding that treasure tokens, and we got mode stuff there. Another new card. Man, look at all these new cards I'm throwing in here. Hell to Pay.
Oh, good for you.
Good for you.
Hell
Good job
to Pay.
being good at building decks.
They just didn't put the new cards in. This would be fantastic in there. So it deals X damage to target creature. Create a number of tap treasure tokens equal to the excess damage. So it's like the one before, except this one's sorcery. And you can control the X. So if it's late game, you could wipe out a 1/1 and give yourself 9 tapped whatever treasure tokens. Again, you can sack those treasure tokens to use Olivia's ability. They can be tapped. It doesn't matter. Camball. 10? What? Yeah, that's a good point. The next turn.
All right.
Then they're untapped. Then it doesn't matter. Shut up. Don't. This is my fantasy magic Christmas thing. All right. So Camball, the new Camball Profiteering Mayor. So this one is whenever one or more tokens, again, it's tokens. It's not saying creatures, enters the battlefield under your control. For each of them, create a tap token of that. That's a copy of it. It only triggers once each turn. Whenever one or more of your tokens enter the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. So not only you're creating those treasures and getting more treasures, but now you're dealing 1 damage. Well, everybody's losing 1 life and you're gaining 1 life off of that as well. So
for sure,
this one's an all-star in this, and it's not expensive, and it's from the new set too. Then
a good card.
Another Fallout, which also is a mercenary, so it fits with what the theme is. Kellogg, Dangerous Mind from Fallout, like I just mentioned. First strike, haste, 3/2. When it attacks, create a treasure. Sacrifice 5 treasures. Gain control of target creature for as long as you control this dude. You're gonna only do it as a sorcery, but you're making treasures with this deck. You're taking creatures from people. This guy's attacking. He's giving you treasures. He has first strike, haste, all that stuff. So this guy's just all-star in this deck as well.
All right.
Lotho, Corrupt Sheriff, and this is from the Lord of the Rings set. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, lose a life and get a treasure. So we're getting more treasures. So remember I was saying the treasure generation.
You definitely got a lot more in there, I'd say.
Oh, you might be right. Hang on, you just asked whenever.
Just the trigger for
he's right.
Copying.
Comball is whenever they. Okay, you're correct.
But
You're
whenever one or more tokens ETB for you, that's when the life loss happens in game.
But yeah, so it's whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield. Okay, yes. Yeah. There's the life loss there.
I probably missed that.
Okay, so then similar things with Comball's ability is we are doing Marionette Master. So this is I love this card. I spec'd on it and it just never worked out because one, it's not legendary. So it doesn't help that you can't build around Marionette Master.
Yeah.
But in this deck, the nice thing is you don't do the fabricate. Well, you could add the counters on this, but your commander, when you're sacrificing the treasure tokens, it goes on all your creatures. So it would go on Marionette Master. So whenever an artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So let's just say you put all 3 of the 1/1 counters on it, and then even just that in itself, you're doing 4 damage to 1 player every time your treasure token goes to the graveyard. So this, you could wipe out a player easily with Marionette Master out there. Then we have Mayhem Devil. Whenever any player sacrifices a permanent, so that works with fetches and all that stuff, it deals 1 damage to any target. So this kind of has a little bit of removal built in, not just player damage. You could hit creatures if you plan it out right. So you can destroy your, sacrifice your treasures and target something and kill stuff. So I like this one in there. And the last 3. Mirkwood Bats, still super cheap. Get this while it's cheap, but whenever a creature or whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses a life. Reckless Fireweaver, whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, deal 1 damage to each opponent. And then we finish off with the other one, Unexpected Windfall, similar to the first one that's at the top there. Which one?
Big Score.
Big Score. Those two I play hand in hand in almost every deck that I can with a deal with treasures. But you're discarding a card, drawing 2 cards, and getting treasures. So, and at instant speed. So I really like that. All right, the total though gets me to $20.71. So I didn't go over.
I'll let it slide.
Thank you.
I'll let it slide.
Thank you. Thank you, kind sir. The Mr. Unlimited part.
Mr. Unlimited.
I think I have a lot here if I remember right. Yeah, I have 22 cards. All right. So
I'm seeing some damagers in this. Did you think about Torbrand?
I didn't have the budget to do Torbrand in this one, and
All right.
it was me added. I added all the damagers. There is no other damagers, I believe, in the deck. So I added all the, hey, we're sacrificing treasures, we're doing things, let's do some damage. Okay, so Mr. Unlimited, Chroma's Will, you have a lot of creatures. That's a game winner. That's why I said this deck is lacking game winners. That's a game winner right there. Ancient Copper Dragon, treasures when it deals damage. Anointed Procession, get your double tokens. Black Market Connections, 100% should be one of the first ads if you have it as Mr. Unlimited. You're getting treasure tokens. You're creating a 3/2 shapeshifter, which is also a mercenary, so you're adding to that, and you could draw as well. It's just a good card that you should have in every black deck anyways, but it works especially good in this deck. Bonehorde Dracosaur just got my first copy.
Oh, good for you.
This one's awesome
happy
here.
for you.
You're creating treasures. You're getting card advantage. You're getting creatures. Like, there's a lot of stuff that card. This is
It
just
does a lot.
This card is really good. Cavern Horde Dragon from the Lord of the Rings one. It has Flying Trample Haste. I've been replacing this with a lot of the. I actually like this personally better than the Copper Dragon, only because of the haste part. Because it's a surprise attack. A lot of people are playing artifacts. You're going to get treasure tokens easily off of that. So this is
I agree,
yeah,
personally.
I like that one. I wanted this one to be in here so bad. Descent into Avernus. I think you put this in, and Ibukaki has talked about this one.
I do it because of Alex.
Yeah, and it's the one where it's the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 descent counters on it, and then each player creates X treasure tokens, and then it deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of descent counters. So each turn you're getting 2 more treasures, and in this deck it's fantastic. So that would be a really big add there. Dockside, obviously you're dealing with treasure. Esper Sentinel. In this case, you can manipulate Esper Sentinel's power, so you can really make it so people can't pay for that. You had this in one of your decks, but Grim Hireling is a very good card. You're getting treasure. Oh, Hellkite Tyrant, one of the finalists in the You Win the Game cards. That's in here because you could just straight up win the game.
Win?
We'll see in a little bit. Master of Ceremonies has a way of getting treasures in there. Mondrak, Glory Dominus, or tripling token, no, twice
Doubling.
tokens. Monologue Tax actually could fit in here. Pitiless Plunderer, Revel in Riches, another You Win the Game thing. I have a lot of stuff, I know. Roaming Throne, Smothering Tithe, Spiteful Banditry. I think this one would be really good in here because you're doing X damage each creature. Yours are getting bigger. But then whenever one or more creatures your opponents control die, you get a treasure. So that was a treasure adder there. Teferi's Protection. God, dude, you know how much Reaver Cleaver is right now? It's a $20 card.
Yeah.
So
I have
that
3 of them.
yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Maybe only 2, but I wanted to make it bigger, so you hit the button.
So yeah, it gets 1+1 in trample, and then when it deals damage, you create that many treasure tokens. You're gonna have big creatures.
I mean, it was a $16 card when I got it. Like, it never was under 10.
Yeah, I guess it's a good card. In Zorn, you're making if you'd make a 1 or more tokens, create it an additional 1, so you're getting more treasure. Oh, and that's it. So that's the mystery. That's my 22
Big
cards.
treasure makers.
So that's what I would if I honestly had the deck. I mean, if you're playing it the way that the face commander is, this is how I would do it. The way I had the budget. If I was able to change the deck and be like, I don't like that commander, I'm switching to the other one, I would change out so much and go treasure base, almost like my Akiri deck in a way. Go treasure base and have my treasures be the things that are the game winners. Turn those into creatures, swing in and kill everybody. And at worst case scenario, using them to cast more spells. So I think that's the stronger of the 2 commanders. But with what's in the deck, the budget upgrades are the way to go. With maybe a smattering of these if you have them to go on the deck. So if there's any others that I missed, do you have any others, Lowry, that you would want to add? Like your
This Torbrand.
You could add that in the comments below. either budget or non-budget. We want to hear all those comments for any of the decks. So make sure you guys do that. Okay, so that, whoo, wow, that went over. All right, we gotta get to our whatever. Let's get to our. Do I have to get to the button here? There we go. Let's get to the actual tournament thing and.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
And I'm not going to show you who won. So, Lowry, we had the number 1 seed, Thassa's Oracle, going against the number 2 seed, Hellkite Tyrant. Thassa has made it past round 1 with a 77% win, past round 2 with a 63% win, and then made it to the finals with a 62% win. Hellkite's path to victory was 66% win on the first one, 53 on the second round.
Who was that one against?
That was against Feldar. Was that right? No. That was against Labman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it moved to the finals with a 65% win. So they both were both in the 60s. To get to the finals and where we're at here. So all that being said, we thought Thassa's biggest competition was last week or the week before with going against Approach of the Second Sun. Do you think Thassa's pulled off the win? And if you did, where do you think it ended up with percentage-wise?
So basically I'm going with, like, is it high or low of 63%, which was the final one. And we thought that Approach was going to be the harder matchup. So I'm 63% sounds about right. Like, it might be within a plus or minus of like 2% of that, but I'm going to go higher. Like, I'm going to say 65% for Thoracle.
Okay. Well, you're wrong because Thoracle lost. With
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm just kidding. It won.
Oh.
It won. It was a 67%. So you win yet again. The number 1 pick continues to move on. So 67% of the vote. We had 156 people voting. Thank you guys all for voting. That was a good take to figure out which one was the winner, and it was right out of the gate. Thassa's was ahead.
There's a lot of people that don't like it. But like it.
I couldn't even go into my fake accounts to try to sway the other thing.
Wasn't even close.
Nope, wasn't even close ever. So thank you guys for voting on that. We will have a new poll going up this week. I think it's going to be on the Commander decks, which one you guys would like to build if you could build or buy one of the Precons. So that'll be up later this week. But enough of that. Let's move on. Ooh, I gotta make sure I don't have the right stuff up there. We're gonna switch into so you can't see stuff. We're gonna get to Stump the Smith Savant here.
Take my glasses off.
Okay. Let me hit the button. It's time for everyone's favorite game show, Stump the Smith Savant. Alright, if you guys don't know how this game works, I am going to read the flavor text of a card, and Lowry is going to try to guess the card by asking yes or no questions. Every yes, he'll hear this.
Hello, boobies.
Every no, he'll hear this.
Wrong.
Lowry will get up to 5 wrong guesses before he is considered stumped. He gets up to 3 clues. If he can get everything about the card but can't get what the card name is, he will get the initials of the card. If he has a clue left over, he will get a bonus clue, which should help give the card away. The card has to be in at least 10,000 EDH rec decks. You guys can email us your suggestions. Lowry does not check the emails for that, so on purpose. So commandersmiths@gmail.com, or if you are a Discord member, if you're a patron, you can direct message me with your entry. All right, so again, we have 3 things up because this is week 8, round 28. Lowry's record is 87-28. We first have the foil proxy of Trouble in Pairs and the Legolas and Gimli. Then we have Meticulous Archive, foil Surveil Land, And in the mail on its way is Fomori Vault in the full art. That is also up for grabs. So make sure you guys get those in, because there isn't a lot of names in here. I mean, there's probably 24 names in here, I would think. So it's low. So this is the opportunity to get your name drawn. Okay, so I think that's it. I have eliminated the chat. Chat can play along, see if you can get it before Lowry. And here we go. It was a time for rebuilding, but first, Icoria's wrecked cities had to be cleared of monsters. It was a time for rebuilding, but first, Icoria's wrecked cities had to be cleared of monsters. And once again, I forgot to mention, Copper the dog is the stumper this week. I forgot to say that. So, Copper.
All right, Copper. I think you're on to something here. Or you're on something.
A little bit of both. A little bit of
a little bit of comment there. All right. Okay. It was a time for rebuilding, but first, Icoria's wrecked cities had to be cleared of monsters. Oh. Okay. This is likely on.
We didn't do any tags, by the way.
Right.
We'll do that at the end. Well,
yeah, we don't know where to do the
the tags. I completely forgot
banter
to. Yeah, we
anymore.
didn't do any banter.
Oh,
and
that's
and I'm frozen.
Nobody,
went away.
Yeah,
coming
now you're
back.
just going away. Now that it's fucked. Sorry, bye everybody.
That doesn't
Okay,
like Stump.
time for rebuilding. So this is a human on Icoria talking about the cities, and that was humans, and so that was at least heavy black, white, I think kind of red, but green, red, and blue were definitely the monsters. So black and white were kind of the human part. So, but I wonder if this could be from March of the Machines as well, since they did go to Icoria. But right now, let's say, is this from the set Icoria?
Wrong, 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 wrong.
All right. I mean, what else could it be? Maybe a commander? I guess I didn't specify. It could have been a commander deck too, from Icoria. But
I would have got you there. I would have told you.
Is it black and or white?
Hello,
Color
boobies.
identity? Sorry, that was a hello boobies for the identity.
Hello, boobies.
Okay. It was a time for rebuilding, but first we had to clear the monsters. Sounds like a removal spell of some type? Maybe a path? But let's go with first clue, please.
I did these in a little bit different order because this is a tough one. It's gonna be hard. So I'm giving you an.
You are starting to freeze, though, by the way, for me at least.
Yeah, no, I'm delayed.
Okay.
My whole thing. I'm like probably 15 seconds delayed on video wise.
Okay.
Am I audio wise delayed for you, or is it just video you're talking about?
I think it's just video.
Okay. Okay, so I went with the where this card is at and everything because this is a hard one. This card is in 16,000 EDH rectangles.
Okay.
Only printed in March of the Machine Aftermath.
Oh, Aftermath. Okay.
So that's why I was like, oh shit, he's not going to know this. And seen in 69% of all Rick the Steadfast Leader decks.
Okay. Which is a white commander. It's human based. Okay. Alright. So we know it's roughly white. It's a white card. Let me hear that boobies.
Hello, boobies.
Go.
Yep.
We know that it has to be mono white as well in that regard. But first, Icoria's wrecked cities had to be cleared of monsters. Is this what is Aftermath? Golly,
I know
that's gonna be
why
tough.
I gave it to you first because I'm like, You don't. It's only printing is Aftermath. There is no other sets it's in. No commander decks after that.
That is going to be quite tough. Is this a non-permanent spell?
Wrong, 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 wrong.
Monsters. So we're essentially saying that this is either an enchantment or a creature. I don't think they had. There was no planeswalkers in that one because they just got rid of all the planeswalkers. So, I don't recall any artifacts from that. So it's probably an enchantment or creature at that point.
You determined it. Well, yeah. Never mind. All right, close it. Nothing. I get what you're thinking there. Never mind.
I already got one wrong. Let's go with the second clue,
You have
please.
2 wrong total, just so you know.
Thank you.
All right, the art should help a little bit, maybe. I don't know if it really will.
I don't know either.
The art features 3 troops in bronze armor leading an army through what looks to be castle doors. The art features 3 troops in bronze armor leading an army through castle doors. What looks to be castle doors? I actually don't know if it's castle doors. You can only see whatever.
I mean, it
frame
could
is
just
here.
be the city.
Right. Yeah.
City gate.
It looks like some doors.
Some big doors. How about that? Big doors.
Enough for 3 troops to fit through.
And maybe some monsters. That's how they got in there.
Right.
Or maybe they're coming out. No. They're
gotta-
coming out of the
They got to clear 'em.
huge closet doors. Is that what we're doing? Sure, that's bronze armor. It was time for rebuilding, but first, Korea's wrecked cities had to be cleared of monsters. That doesn't really sound like a creature. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, let's make sure. Is this a creature and or enchantment?
Hello, boobies.
Is it an enchantment?
Wrong, 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 wrong.
That's what I was trying to do give you the biggest hints before, because I'm like,
Yeah.
you're gonna struggle.
I
with
appreciate
this
that.
one.
Okay, so we're at 3 wrong. 3 wrong right now?
Yeah, 3 wrong. Yep.
It's a creature. It's white. 16,000 decks. Can I hear the first clue, please?
This card is
Again?
in 16,000 EDH rec decks, only printed in March of the Machines Aftermath, and seen in 69% of Rick's Steadfast Leader decks. The art features 3 troops in bronze armor leading an army through what looks to be castle doors or doors. And then you have it was a time for rebuilding, but first Ikoria's wrecked cities had to be cleared of monsters. Tad is actually on, so he's Copper the dog. He's like, this is way more exciting to watch it live as opposed to listening on the cast. Yeah, it's a little more intense.
So we got, it's a white creature. It feels like some sort of, it's still going out trying to clear the streets, make it safe.
I think you need that 3rd clue to help you.
The battles didn't really have. Oh, that was just March. That's not Aftermath. Yeah, I'll take that 3rd clue then.
The text features a power bump and a newer, more controversial type of protection for the most common creature type, excluding itself. Let me read that again. The text features a power bump and a newer, more controversial type of protection for the most common creature type, excluding itself. You want me to slow down with the first part so you can figure that? The text features a power bump and a newer, more controversial type of protection for the most common creature type, excluding itself. So
right. So it's, I mean, I feel like you're adding in the words of controversial here. Like it's, ward.
we had
It's
an
likely
episode
it-
on it.
I just said ward. It's likely that.
But
I
you're
just
saying
don't think
I'm
it's
adding-
controversial.
Oh, no, but we had an episode on it. Like it was. That's what I thought would help with the clue on that, because the whole episode was, hey, if you guys want to watch an episode, make sure you click on that controversy talking about war. Just kidding.
Right. I thought it was a stretch when we did it anyway.
Oh. You're a douche, kiddo.
All right. So it's ward something, but ward
Hello, boobies.
for humans.
Hello, boobies.
It's a. What was the third clue? It's a buff.
The text features a power bump and a newer, more controversial type of protection for the most common creature type, excluding itself.
Oh, this is gonna be. I don't even think I'm gonna be upset when I don't know this. Like,
No, that's the thing
ward
is
for
people-
humans.
People know your kryptonite is go after aftermath stuff, because you won't get aftermath. I'll tell you, I don't remember ever seeing this card, and I got a box.
Well,
of
it's so
aftermath.
set specific, and so that's where we're going with here.
Unless you built a deck around this, like that's the only way you would know it.
Jira might be in the set, and I don't even know what that's. J-R-A, Jimma. Power boost, so something like +1/+0. Ward something to humans have ward, whatever, probably just one.
Sounds just like
White.
defeated.
How many? Hold on. This one's gonna be really tough. I have how many wrong?
3.
All right. Is this 4 mana or less?
Hello, boobies.
Well, it saves 3. White and 2 colorless in my mind. Not a question. Three bronze armor going through a door. A boost. It has ward. I think it's just +1/+0. It's a creature. I swear, like, that gal is white black, but I couldn't even say her name. Like, that's the tough part. Is it a white and 2 colorless?
Wrong.
That might
One
be enough.
more.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure you got this. Because nothing has come to mind. I mean, I assume it's a human?
Hello, boobies.
I don't know the CMC. We know it's at least a human.
You don't know what the ward is, and you don't know what the power bump is.
I'm fairly sure it's a 1/+0. And I think, I mean, it's just straight up. I have no idea. There's nothing going on up here. That's gonna be a bummer. My streak is done.
What is?
Let's say this is ward. Let's go with +1/+0,
That is correct.
Hello, boobies.
and let's go with a ward 1.
Hello, boobies.
All right, you got everything about the
humans?
text. You have one of the creature types, you need another one. You have none of the CMC, and you have none of the power toughness.
Yeah. Power toughness. Like, if it's 4 or less on the CMC, and we know it's +1/+0, and we know this Ward 1 for humans, it feels like it's going to be like not the best. It might be like a 1/2 or a 2/3. But nothing's really jogging. A 2/3 seems too powerful in that regard. Could be like a 1/3, but it seems like it's offset. It's something that they do to be like, it'd be an even number if it gave itself a power boost like it wants to, but it doesn't. It's gonna be something stupid like that. I'd say it's probably 1/2. Is it a 1 power?
Wrong, 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 wrong.
Is it a 1/2? It's not a 1/2.
Congratulations.
Is it a 2/3?
Ted.
Wrong, 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 wrong.
All right.
All right,
Nice job.
I'm gonna
Nice
start.
job.
You have won them all. All right, Larry, I'm gonna start giving you some clues here to see if I can get you to guess this. All right, so the power and toughness is 2/2.
Okay.
CMC is 1 colorless, 1 white. It is a human soldier. And in the second clue, the art features 3 troops. Well, that was supposed to give away. Well, no. The troops were supposed to help you with soldier. In bronze armor. What's another? Wait, what is bronze typically? What kind of metal is
Copper.
that? Yes. Leading an army through. If it's somebody leading an army, what are they called? I didn't know this until I had to kind of look it up. But there's a term for people, the people that are leading the charge.
Charger.
The vanguard. Will that help you with copper? It's copper something vanguard. Now,
Copper Coat's Vanguard.
there you go. It's copper coat. Copper
I
coat.
wouldn't have got there at all. No way. What's that look like?
Yeah, so there is copper coat vanguard there. So yeah, I know. That's why I was like, I
No.
got to give you the most. And
No.
yeah, Copper the dog. I know it's all his name in there too. I was like, oh, his name's actually part of it.
Nice job.
I was like, this is going to be so hard for you to get. So, key to everybody else, if you want to stump Lowry, just keep doing Aftermath stuff because this is the 3rd one he's been stumped on from Aftermath. So, just keep it going.
Somebody needs to choose filter out or something. Let's pick some good cards.
Yeah, the only way you would have known
Golly,
this
nice
card.
job.
Yeah, congrats, buddy. The only he said this segment is so long, is what Renshai just said. The only way that you would have got this card is if you had built a human deck, because that's the only way you probably would have seen it at that point.
Right.
So, okay, so we didn't do our tags. I'm just gonna say, make sure that you guys, like this. If you aren't subscribed already, make sure you guys subscribe. Lowry, what are you doing this week? You mentioned it early, but just kind of hit that again.
Thursday night, I'll be doing Riku of Many Paths, which is the modal spell commander, where you get some triggers, modal triggers for modal spells. Red, green, blue. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I should have the proxy videos hitting this week. It's either this week or this weekend. I'll be having those out. So those will be out as well. And whenever my secret layer arrives, I'll be doing a box opening of that. You might do that as well when you get yours. So we'll have some other ones that pop up. So, all right, gang. I think that will do it for this week. Lowry got stumped, but that's okay. We'll get it next week.
Womp womp.
All right, that should do it for this week. We will catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
ya.
I love boobs. I'm talking top.
I still didn't do your outro yet. That was on my list today. I'm getting it after we're done here.
That's all right.
Love boobs.
That's
Thanks for the
cheers.
memories.
We get a real
Love boobs.
ending this time.
Oh, Tad said he did filter out, and Lau did not get filter out. Wah, wah,
My
wah.
bad.
All right, outro. Hey, gang, the best way to support the Commander Smiths is make sure you slap that like button. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel. Also, check out our online store, commandersmiths.com, where we have metal tokens, mugs, t-shirts, playmats, and more.